Why isn't Ninja Theory's new game called Hellblade? What's the gameplay like? How have they made this game so quickly? Straight after seeing the trailer for Senua, we spoke to Dom Matthews, head of Ninja Theory, to get you guys some answers about this brand new Xbox game. What kind of game is Senua?
So Senua is an action-adventure game. It's an out-and-out action-adventure game where Senua is taking a bold new step on a new journey in a story that just has to be told.
Nice. But why is it not called Hellblade?
For two reasons, really. One is that it's a reflection that this is a game where Senua is taking a new step into an action-adventure game. And really, this game in particular is all about Senua at the very heart and soul of the experience.
Do you need to have played Hellblade before to enjoy this one?
No, this is a game that is being built for existing fans of Senua and of Hellblade, but also new fans as well. So if you've played previous Hellblade games, then you'll know themes and characters. But if you haven't, that's fine. This is a great entry point.
Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 both follow the story of Senua, a Pictish warrior who experiences the world differently to everyone around her through her psychosis-induced hallucinations. There's a huge emphasis on the narrative of her journey, but with Senua being an action-adventure game, I wanted to know in what ways this game would be different.
I think the biggest change is the depth of gameplay and the agency, so we're putting a lot more of the control in the player's hands and allowing them to be closer to Senua in terms of more combat, more traversal, and a bigger world to explore. Players will see Senua progress and get stronger throughout the game for sure. I think in terms of the story, it's a linear story with a beginning and middle and end, but we're giving the player a lot more choice and freedom in how she makes her way through her journey.
That expansion on combat is something I'm particularly interested in, especially considering the legacy that Ninja Theory has as a first-class action game studio responsible for games like Heavenly Sword and DMC Devil May Cry.
There's a lot more depth to the combat, a lot more tactical choice for players. So Senua is going to be fighting against multiple enemies, but also the player's going to get the choice as to how they approach each encounter as well. So they can stealth their way in, they can go all swords blazing, dual wielding, using multiple weapons, throwing axes, really putting a lot of the choice in the player's hands.
Do some of Senua's abilities return in this game?
Yeah, Senua develops beliefs throughout the game that really gives her special ways of experiencing the world, and their abilities, if you like, that Senua can use both in combat but also outside of combat in puzzle solving and in traversal too.
Okay, so are there new abilities as well that we'll get to use?
Yeah, abilities that players have never seen before, for sure.
Very cool. Have you got a favourite?
I like the shatter that you see in the trailer, actually, which is Senua really creating a new reality for herself.
So we see Senua wielding a few different weapon types as well. There's obviously the hatchet on the key art that looks really cool, along with the sword that we're pretty used to by now. So what other weapon types are we going to be able to use?
Yeah, there's a lot of weapons in the game. So there's a short axe, there's a long axe, there's also range weapons as well. So definitely a lot of variety of weapons for Senua to use, and the first time that Senua gets to use different weapons too.
Amazing. And then there was a really cool moment in the trailer where she kicked over this big brazier. So is that sort of like those one-off combat moments, or is that another part of her toolkit now that she can use the environment?
Yeah, using the environment, using things like the braziers and using the world around you to try and take on encounters is very much part of the gameplay.
All in all, the combat looks more engaging, offering a wider variety of ways in which to tackle those challenges. You can even steal weapons off of people mid-fight, throw axes, and of course weave in those abilities as needed. There's a depth to it that hasn't been seen before in the Hellblade universe that feels fresh and exciting, inviting a touch of that power fantasy into the game, while still keeping that grounded, visceral trademark that makes Hellblade combat retain that cinematic feel. And that cinematic quality is something also present in the astonishing visuals of Senua. And I was keen to know more about the world that we'd be exploring this time around. And how big is this game?
So the actual play area, if you like, is about twice the size of Hellblade 2. But we're still making the game, so I don't want to put a number of hours on it, but it's certainly a bigger game than we've made in previous Hellblade games.
Obviously, we've seen some of the scenery around us and the different totems or shrines in the trailer. What other kind of environments can we expect?
So I don't want to give too much away about the world, but this is Purgatory, and Senua's very personal vision of Purgatory that's based on her childhood home, but you can expect a lot of vividness and a lot of contrast throughout that world for sure. It's a single map with interconnected locations, so really what we're doing is inviting players to explore that world. It's not an open world game, but it's certainly a game where players can go and explore different areas as they like to uncover the secrets that the world has to offer.
Senua's experience with Psychosis has always been at the core of Hellblade games. Is Senua exploring that further?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still core to the game. It's core to our development partnerships with Professor Paul Fletcher at University of Cambridge and people with lived experience. And actually, one of the things that they've been excited about is the opportunity in this game to revisit areas. So that gives us the opportunity to do things where on a first visit, something might seem really insignificant, but actually as Senua's belief changes and evolves throughout the game, that same object area of the world might suddenly take on far greater significance. Early on in the game, there's a tree, for example, that has a slightly unusual shape, but I don't think the player will think much of it. But later on in the game, as Senua's belief evolves, she starts to believe that that tree has something special about it. And in fact, when players revisit it, it allows them to access parts of the world they weren't able to before.
This was yet another area in which Ninja Theory was taking the core of what makes Hellblade special and developing it with deeper nuance. Expanding upon the puzzle mechanics and exploration in tandem with that combat level up is no small feat, so it's extra surprising when you remember that it's only been 2 years since the release of Hellblade 2. So it took you guys 7 years between releasing Hellblade 1 to then releasing Hellblade 2.
Yeah, all right.
This one, just saying, I don't make time. This one, though, is 3 years after releasing Hellblade 2. So
yeah.
How have you done that?
As soon as we released Hellblade 2, we had in our minds the story that we wanted to tell next and the game that we wanted to make. We had the opportunity to bring the entire team here together to focus on one game for the first time in 12 years. So all 85 developers here are focused on one game, and we're using all of that skill and experience and expertise to go and do our very best work. So I think with that kind of talent all facing in one direction and the technology and pipelines that we've got in place, we can go and work quickly. And we want to ship games. We want to get our games out to players and see them enjoying them.
What things have you learned from the development and the release of Hellblade 2 that have now gone into developing this new game, Senua?
Yeah, so I think in terms of the development, I think on Hellblade 2, we had a really big focus on how can we build out pipelines that start in grounded truth. So building out real costumes, using real environmental props and taking those through a digital process to build a really believable world. That goes through our VFX, all of our movement on our performance capture stage, working with incredible actors. So I think taking all of that, but also really listening to players, Hellblade fans of Senua, but also action-adventure players, and really thinking about taking the potential we have as a studio and the expertise we have in action-adventure and applying that to this new journey. So really thinking about how can we really delight players with more gameplay, more agency, deeper combat, more traversal, and a bigger world for them to explore.
Because there's definitely a legacy for Ninja Theory of making action-heavy games, and so what were the team's reaction to learning that we're all going to be chipping in on this?
Yeah, people love it. People love working together. You know, even making this trailer has been such a great experience. You know, one of the best things about game development that I really love is just being in it together. And when you've got the entire team, and it's not a huge team here, we have 85 people, but having that entire team really focus on doing our very best work, which I really believe we're doing on this project, you know, it's what it's all about.
Melina obviously is returning then to reprise the role.
Yeah.
What was her reaction to finding out that the story of Senua is being continued?
Yeah, she loves it. Mel's fantastic. You know, she's a big part of the team, big part of the studio, and she works so hard. We've actually just finished wrapping up our cinematic shoots, so she's putting an awful lot of hard work there, and she's fantastic. You know, so she's delighted to be part of it, and she's such a superstar.
We previously, when we were talking to her about Hellblade 2 and how the demanding nature of some of the cinematics in that in particular were just really pushed her to her limits. And now you guys have also put more of an emphasis on the combat and developing that further. What sort of impact has that had on all of the cast members having to be more involved in combat perhaps this time round?
We work with a really great stunt team as well, who are really supportive. They do a lot of fantastic work. We've worked with them for many years, so obviously with a lot more depth and breadth to our combat, there's a lot of work to be done there. But our commitment is to the quality and the visceral nature of our combat and the performance that comes from our performance capture stage. So there's a lot of work there from a lot of performers that make that really special.
Can you describe the game in 3 words?
Action, adventure, game.
Where should players go if they want to learn more about Senua?
Players should go to senuagame.com, and of course they can wishlist the game now on their chosen platform, either Xbox, PlayStation or PC.